Here you can see that there are mountains at the far end of the lands, and here, which make it a very special location and for the growing of grapes. And during our live broadcast, we will brief you on how the people are using the geological condition here to grow grapes. In this village, it features this geological condition with a lot of hills. It is very hilly situation, and through our aerial shot, you can have a clear picture of it. In the city of Qinhuangdao, if you visit here, you can travel through the Jinha Highway or Qingbin Highway to reach here. So it takes about 30 minutes to travel from the city of Qinhuangdao to this village. Now let's take a look at the types of grapes here. Today, we have Mr. Chen Xiling, one of the grape farmers here. Can you tell us what are the types of the grapes here? We have 36 types, and right now, there are 6 biggest grapes. For example, this is the red grapes introduced from the US. It has a very high sugar content, and the price is higher than normal grapes by about 1 yuan per 500 grams. So this is one of the main production grapes here. This type is called Longyan, which will become ripe in about November. Right now it's a little bit sour, but it will taste much better in November. It has 300 years of history. This is a local breed. This breed is also an introduced breed from outside. It tastes a little bit sour. We've only introduced this breed about 5 to 6 years ago. This is another major grape called Meiguixiang, which is one of the most popular breeds in the market. It tastes the best, has high sugar content, and people really love the taste of this breed. About over 80% of the grapes grew here is this breed. This is called Manaizi, which is also a breed that has a very long history. It is very fruity and with a relatively light flavor. This is called the Kyoto, which is also known as Jufeng. This breed has many subbreeds. It tastes very good. Here is the harvest season for this breed called Moldova. It is also only introduced about several years ago. It's a newly introduced breed. As I said, there are about 36 breeds, and we did some selections. And altogether, here we only grow about a dozen breeds here. So can you put these grapes in order in terms according to their price? This is the breed with the highest price. It's about 4 to 5 yuan per 500 grams. As for wholesale, and for 玫瑰香, it's about 3.5 yuan per half kilo. And the other breeds are roughly similar price with each other. So in our village, our geological condition is quite suitable for growing grapes because we have 3 sides surrounded by mountains. And the soil quality here is also quite favorable. In some places, it is not suitable to grow grapes because the taste of the grapes grown there is not so good and it's not sweet enough. So we are one of the villages that has very high production of grapes. So altogether, we have about 1,600 moles of field that dedicated to growing grapes. Altogether, we have about 37 moles of land here, and about 1,700 of them are dedicated to grape growing. This is 玫瑰香, one of the best breeds here, and that is warmly welcomed by the market. Let's have a taste of it. It has a very nice rosy flavor to it. When there is heavy rain, the sugar content will be decreased. When in dry season, the glucose in the grapes will increase. It has a rosy flavor to it, and it is very sweet and very juicy. So how long is this? How old is this tree? It's about 6 years old. Here you can see there are different junctures to the branches. You can count the branches in order to know the age of the tree. So judging from this branch, we can see that it's about 6 to 7 years old. We have to control the output production of the grapes. It's about 300 jeans, that is half a kilo per year. Otherwise, the quality will be jeopardized. So we control the growing of the grapes in order to limit the production to a certain degree so as to ensure quality. We also have agricultural experts to come to the village to do some training for us. So we combine the old methods, traditional method of growing grapes with the new technologies so as to better the quality. So how long have you been growing grapes? I've been doing this since my graduation. It's about 1981. I came back to the village to start growing grapes. I started very young, and I didn't know much about the techniques of growing grapes. So I learned from a lot of other senior farmers and technicians and become more proficient. I felt that the efficiency, the cost effect of growing grapes is higher than normal crops. We used to be growing potatoes. In the past, the field to growing grapes is only about 1/3 of the field. But after 1981, the field of grapes is constantly increasing. And gradually, most of the village become grape farmers because it is economically efficient. And grapes has become one of the pillars in the village's economy. In our village, our soil is not suitable for growing crops, but highly suitable for growing grapes. That is also why most of the farmers here become grape farmers. We also introduce high-quality breeds. For example, Kyoho is one of the introduced breeds. But some of the introduced breeds taste not as good as the local breeds. We can see that some of the farmers began to put the grapes into the boxes. The wholesalers will come to our village to buy these grapes. And some of the wholesalers may order, for example, 500 boxes or 300 boxes from us. Another way of purchasing grapes is to refrigerate part of the grapes so that we can sell them during the Spring Festival, because it can stay fresh longer. So mainly there are tourists who come here to harvest the grapes as a way for recreation. So around August 20th, we will welcome more and more tourists to carry out this harvest activity. This will accounts for a large part of the production, and the rest will be sold through wholesales. Here we can see a lot of grapes on the grounds. And the farmers are putting them into boxes. These are all very high-quality grapes. Here is of a smaller strain. It actually is higher. The price of it is actually higher than other grapes. We have to guarantee the production as well as the quality. in our village, we maintain this kind of green food production because it's very environmentally friendly. This is Moldova, which accounts for a relatively small percentage of the total production. It looks very good, but tastes less good, tastes not as good as the other breeds. So as I said, Meiguisheng is the most welcomed, it's the favorite breeds of a lot of people. We see that a lot of the local families are growing grapes, right? Yes, as I said, the geological condition here with the hilly natural conditions and the mountains at three sides of the village, it is a very good location for grape farming. And the economic benefit is also quite satisfactory. This place has very limited land resources for crop growing, but very favorable for grape growing. So we need to leverage the natural condition. Here we put the grapes, the grapevines on the shelf. So there are big shelves as well as smaller shelves due to different geological conditions. At that side, it is the red grapes from the US. And we can see very large strings of grapes. So, is there different lighting? Would the different lighting conditions from the outside and inside affect the quality and taste of the grapes? That's true, because the grapes with the better sunlight condition will ripe quicker. And as you can see, the color of the grapes is different from string to string. Those with better lighting conditions will ripe in about 100 days, and those with worse lighting conditions will ripe about 90 days. So the grapes on the exterior will ripe faster than those on the inside. That is mainly due to the lighting condition. So what about the specific strings? For example, one string, the grapes at the exterior circle will ripe faster, and those on the inside will ripe slower and even with the color of green. So, what should we do when we are harvesting the grapes to avoid taking out those grapes that are not ripe? When we are harvesting, we will select those who are ripe. 100%, no problem. We will sell them to wholesalers or to tourists. For those who are still raw or not ripe enough, will not harvest them. Because it's a matter of trust. The color of the grape will symbolize the glucose content and the taste of it. This is also red grapes. Do you have storage suggestions for our customers when they have bought grapes? It depends on the amount of grapes that the customer purchased. For red grapes, it can store up to about 4 days, and for 玫瑰香, it can stay fresh for about a week. You can put in the refrigerator or not. The grapes can stand the heat, but after 4 days or a week, the taste will change. So that will not taste so good. In room temperature, the grape can stay fresh for as long as 1 week. If you put in a fridge, it can stay fresh for even longer. If you add some extra content to it, some storage content to it, it can stay fresh for as long as 4 months. For 玫瑰香, it can stay fresh for as long as 4 months, so that we can sell them during the Spring Festival. For red grapes, it also has a very long shelf life. So the production of grapes in this village has been flourishing since 1981, and the income of the farmers also increased from 3,000 and grew year on year as we introduce better breeds and eliminate bad breeds. By 1987, the household income is about 7,000 yuan, and right now it's about 20,000 yuan per household. So it is developing very fast, and the price of the grapes is also better and better for the farmers. Especially after we began to develop tourism, the added value of the grapes increase year on year. Therefore, there was a lot of effort on the development of so-called ecotourism. People, especially those urban residents, they love to enjoy a little bit of countryside views, and they felt really good here. Because the grapevines covered almost every inch of the village, so if you climb to the mountains and look down, all you can see is a field of green grapevines, which is a very fantastic view for the urban dwellers. And some of them may visit us for several times to do some harvesting and also buy a lot of grapes. These are different kind of grape shelves, right? Yes, because we have to factor in the geological condition of the village. In some places, you can have bigger shelves. You can construct bigger shelves. In some places where the space is limited, you can have smaller shelves because the grapevine will climb wherever there is a shelf. So there is very limited, there is very small limitation for geological condition. When tourists come, sometimes they will need to park their car. Therefore, we have to make the shelf higher to facilitate car parking. Otherwise, the parking space would not be enough for the tourists.
走到这儿，我们看见了啊，就是咱们这边有一片跟咱们之前见的不一样，咱们之前见的都是红色的，这一片是绿色。这个品种不一样。
Here we can see a area of green grapes. The breeds, that is because the breeds are different. This is one of the 30 breeds that we introduced. This is called Manai. It has a green and yellowish color to it. It's not because it's still raw. This is just the color of this breed. And they also taste very good with very high fructose content.
其实大家就是通过镜头里，咱们就明显的能感觉到。
As we walk at the country road, you can feel that we are going upward to the mountains. As we walk up, we see that the types of the shelves is different than on the plains. As our villagers said, we have to cater to the different geological condition. As part of the effort to build eco-tourism, we intended to expand the field of grape growing so as to create this better views. And also it can increase economic benefit for the villagers. So it's killing two birds with one stone. You can improve the ecotourism at one side and also increase economic benefit on the other. During the summer vacation, we received a lot of tourists from the city of Qinhuangdao. Today, we don't see a lot of tourists because today is a work day, but before today, there are a lot of visitors who come here to harvest these grapes. About 80% of the production are harvested by the tourists. Here we see some bags wrapping around the grape strings. Can you tell us what this is for? This is Manai breed. This is mainly for the prevention of dust. Most of the tourists will come here during the weekends. At the weekends, you will see tourists everywhere. Each year, we received about several hundred thousand tourists here. who will stay here for the weekend and taste the grapes. And this is one of their favorite recreational activity. So this is mainly for the protection of the grapes, so that to shield it from the dust and rains, because heavy rain will also damage the grape strings. Here we are halfway to the top of the mountain. And as we climb, there will be less and less arable land for grape growing. So for the slopes with the degree of higher than 30 degree, it is more suitable for grape growing. Altogether, we have about 1,000 acres of land for grape growing. Mr. Chen, one of the grape farmers in the village, have told us some of the basic situation of the grape growing business here in this village. He told us how did they use the geological condition and how to develop ecotourism to increase the economic benefit and added value of grape farming here. And next, our next guest is Mr. Xu, a researcher of the local agricultural research institute. Can you tell us why is this place so suitable for grape farming? So first of all, this place is located at one of the best geological location for grape growing, because it has a very high temperature difference from morning to evening. And also the land here, the soil here is quite suitable. It is known as it is of a sandy texture. It is quite suitable for grape growing, but not so much for crops. It is what we call the brown earth. When it comes to climate condition, because it is a hilly area, therefore the sunlight is quite sufficient. And the temperature difference from morning to evening is quite big, which can help the fructose of the grapes to gather. That's why this is a very suitable land for grape farming. In terms of management, it has 300 years of grape farming. Therefore, they have very mature experiences to manage the vineyard. They have mastered these techniques and managerial experiences. At the same time, the local government also helped them to introduce more advanced technologies and managerial experiences so as to upgrade the industry Therefore, the production and the quality of the production began to improve by leaps and bounds. In terms of technology, the breeds is updating at a very high speed. Some of the breeds have history of about 300 years, but only one or two of the breeds are of this kind of condition. But we continuously to introduce new breeds from foreign countries, which grew very well, and also the economic benefit is quite satisfactory. Second of all, the mode for planting is also it's also improving constantly. We have different kinds of shelves, so-called the cold shelf and the warm shelves. It can extend the period of harvest while limiting the period of growing. And also there is a technology of sheltering the grapes from the rain. That is to say, on top of the shelf, we will lay a layer of plastic cover onto it to shield the grapes from the rain, so as to reduce the rain to prevent the rain from harming the grapes. These grapes are considered organic breeds, which can be sold at a very good price in the market. So what are the content for technological training, as you mentioned? As I said, in farming method, we dedicated to the training and field study. We would send agricultural experts to do training in a village. At the same time, we also invite some of the researchers from agricultural universities to do field visit to help the farmers to address some of the problems they are facing. At the same time, we are cultivating local farmers to become more proficient technicians so as to better combine traditional methods with advanced farming technologies. Some of the local experts even come to other places to help their farmers with the technologies. So through the installation of different facilities, you can improve the quality while increasing production of grapes. We continuously are introducing new ways for growing grapes so as to increase the quality. While reducing the remaining of pesticides and usage of pesticides. We also have installation to prevent the grapes from being harmed by rains and hails. For example, instead of planting the grapes on lower land, we plant the grapes, grape vines at the higher lands. In this harvest season of grapes, we see a lot of activities, a lot of tourism, but when we went past the harvest season, how do we storage these grapes? How do we help the grapevines to survive during the winter? So normally, the average temperature of this place is about about 16 to 17 degrees Celsius. And after November, we will take the grapevine off the shelf and bury them on the ground so as to keep them warm and keep them vital. This is a very important way to keep the grapevines viable during the winter. In the spring next year, about earlier March, we will begin to dig out the grapevines and put them on the shelves. Our benchmark will be the apricot, when the flower of the apricot began to blossom. That would be the proper time to dig out the grapevines. So that would be like an indicator for us. Too soon or too late will both be suitable.
就是刚才呢，就是我们再给大家介绍一下啊，我们是在河北秦皇岛的卢龙县的豹子沟村来给大家做一个。
Once again, we are at the Lulong County of Hebei province to do a live broadcast on the harvest of grapes. So from August the 15th to the mid of September, it will be the best season to taste grapes. And this whole village is dedicated to grape farming. And we've heard about the different breeds of grapes and also what technologies are used to grow the grapes. This is almost all we have for today's live broadcast. Thank you for watching.